Good evening, everyone. Welcome to our special board meeting of Thursday, August 16th, 2012. It is 6:05. Ms. Burgos, can you do roll call, please?
Yes, trustees present tonight are Kim, Valenzuela, Romo, Duarte, and Aguilar. You have a full quorum.
Thank you. Mr. Cuevas, can you lead us to the Pledge of Allegiance, please? Item C, approval of agenda.
Second.
Have so moved by Ms. Romo, second by Mr. Valenzuela.
I have discussion. I have discussions.
Mr. Kim?
I'm very pleased to let me have this packet to come here meeting. I'm the board member. I never called for the set the special board meeting. So I'm lucky to have this packet to come here to school special meeting, because if not, I'm not going to be able to come here.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Kim. There's a first and a second. All in favor of the motion?
Aye.
Aye. No.
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes 4-1. Superintendent's report, presentation from Kia Schools. Mr. Fagali?
Thank you, Madam President. We have two PowerPoint presentations. I'd like to have Mai present from the fiscal end of it, and then Ms. Ambrose will speak from the curriculum end.
Before we have the presentation start, I'd like to make an announcement regarding the translation services. Queremos avisar que tenemos servicios de traducción. Hay audífonos afuera si es que ocupa alguien traducción para la Junta. Gracias. There are translation services. If there is anybody who needs translation, there will be simultaneous translation, both in English and in Spanish. Thank you.
If you have not received one of these, if you need a translation, please, we'll get you one.
Thank you.
Sir, would that be for things that you discussed?
Excuse me. Good evening, board members. As per the superintendent's request, I'm going to talk a little bit about the KIA program and how it relates to our budget. I'm going to start off. This first slide talks about how much that Calexico receives for KIA. Well, for Rockwood Elementary, Calexico receives about $343,737, of which $293,737 can be used for salary and benefits, and approximately $50,000 can be used for professional development. And that's based on an average of 40 hours of professional development per teacher in the program at that particular school site. Also, broken down for mains, this is what we receive from the state, $227,853, of which the $197,853 can be used for salary and benefits, and for the professional development piece, approximately $30,000, which again is based on that average of 40 hours of professional development per teacher at that school site. That's a part of the program. How many teachers are needed at the QEIA schools? Now, this is based on the enrollment figures that I had, and it's broken down by the grade level, starting with kindergarten through the 6th grade, as well as per grade level. I've broken it down as to what the ratios are needed at that grade level per classroom. So as you can see, for kindergarten, the ratio is 20 to 1. For kindergarten, 1st, 2nd, and 3rd grade at Rockwood, the ratio is 20 to 1. For 4th grade at Rockwood, 23 to 1, fifth grade at Rockwood, 21 to 1, and sixth grade at Rockwood, 25 to 1. For the total enrolled students at that particular point in time when I prepared this slideshow, we had total enrolled of 561 students, which would render 26 teachers needed to meet the ratios for the program. And I did the very same for Mains Elementary. Again, you can see the ratios from kindergarten all the way through the sixth grade with total enrollment of 435, and we would need 20 teachers to staff at the ratios at Mains Elementary. Thank you. How much does it cost for the district to staff the QEIA schools or the KIA schools? At Rockwood Elementary, using a average teacher salary of $50,000 and a benefits package including the health and welfare, it is approximated at about a little over $72,000 per teacher at Rockwood, or per teacher, and we need 26 teachers for a total cost of almost $1.9 million, or $1.872 million. What the QEIA, or what we receive from QEIA, is $293,737, which can be used for salaries and benefits. Okay, so the encroachment on the general fund is over $1.5 million and close to $1.6 million, and that's at Rockwood Elementary. I've done the very same thing for Mains Elementary, based on the average teacher salary, including the health and welfare benefits, for a total of that $72,000. Based on the need, which would be 20 teachers, the total cost is about $1.44 million. And what we are entitled by QEIA, or which we receive from the state, $197,853, leaving the encroachment on the general fund of over $1.2 million.
If you would, because most people don't know what the
What
related benefits are.
Oh,
you
okay.
might want to
Sure.
just to share that quickly.
What the related benefits are the STRS retirement. It's our workers' comp, our tax base, what you pay, what the district pays, and what the total cost for taxes, for your federal income taxes, your state income taxes, and those types of things. The district portion per the salary. Okay. Combined Mains and Rockwood, the total encroachment on the general fund is over $2.8 million. Okay? Thank you, Eddie. Next. Okay. What are the penalties for increasing the class sizes? Well, the county superintendent or the county superintendent's designee will conduct a pre-monitoring visit during the school year and review documentation after the end of the school year to determine if the requirements have been met. If the county superintendent determines that the school has not met the requirements, he or she then notifies the superintendent of public instruction per Education Code 52055.740C. For the 2012-13, the district will receive full funding, as it was in the program for 11-12 and was found to be compliant by ICOE and CDE. During the course of the year, your program or the program will be reviewed and found to be non-compliant in the area of class size. ICOE and CDE will notify the district of non-compliance and will either provide an opportunity to become compliant, or we will be noticed that due to the non-compliance of the district, it will be exited from the program on June 30th, 2014. And based on a little information that we received earlier today, it actually will be in the 14-15 fiscal year. Okay, so that's a little correct. This was done before and I didn't have an opportunity to correct it, but it will be as of 14-15 will be exited out of the program. This is just a little bit about the review process and how districts are reviewed for the KIA program, and it kind of gives you a timeline for that. For item 1, the state or the superintendent designee conducts a pre-monitoring visit and that will take place in September or December. Well, they update the student achievement targets for alternative application schools, and that takes place in November. They review the documentation July through September, and I'd like to make a note that that's July through September of 2013. So they review the program for the current fiscal year after the year is let me just say it like this. They review the 12-13 documentation for Kia in the 13-14 year. Does that make sense? Okay. Report findings to the district school as a result of monitoring by SECESA. That happens in September through October. And again, I would like to make a note that that is also September of 2013-14. And then they report to the SSPI school, to the schools that are not meeting the requirements. And again, that will take place next November. Okay. Can the district afford to staff at the ratios for Kia? No, we cannot. Are there any other options to create funding to staff the Kia schools? Yes, there are. Well, let me tell you about those other funding options. Well, the first one, and this is just an option, or just an example. I'll say that, not an option, but an example of the types of things that we would need to do to staff at the ratio for Kia. The first one is to eliminate home-to-school transportation district-wide, except special education. And with the savings that would render the district is approximately $750,000. If we closed a school, we would save, or we would be able to save $400,000. If we reduce classified staff, due to the fact that we are allowed to give them a 45-day notice, we could save approximately $800,000. If we eliminated district-funded sports, we could save approximately $253,000. We could also increase the substitute teachers district-wide to accommodate the Kia schools. And I don't have at this point, I don't have anything, or I didn't have a specific number to quantify that. My recommendations and my personal comments. The district is doing everything it can to maintain an approved and balanced budget. The district understands that there are needs for additional staffing and is doing the very best that it can. If the November tax initiative passes, the district may be able to hire additional staff district-wide. To start school, staff to the contract at all levels and at all locations. Are there any questions? Yes. Ms. Norma? Yes.
Yes, I do have a question, if I may. It's my understanding that there's possibility to fund Kia through Title I.
Well, at this current time, we are budgeted completely in Title I for instructional aids, and there is a specific criteria for Title I. Let me start off with that. There are certain ways that we have to spend Title I money. A large portion of that goes towards professional development. There's a large portion of that we fund a portion of our instructional aids out of that. And I don't have this specific breakdown here in front of me, but we are budgeted in Title I.
Yeah,
we have no available funds in Title I.
From the Kia page, it said that you could combine funds from categorical programs except economic impact aid, EIA.
EIA, that is correct, and that is true. However, we are completely budgeted in our Title I.
Okay, and also, in terms of, I did ask the question, and Ruth said no, but I would like to see the numbers. That according to some information I have, it says that Kia funds can be carried over from one year to the other. Have any funds been carried over?
They have been carried over, and they are inclusive in our budget for this year. And if my memory serves me correctly, I believe it's about either, and this is an approximate, it's around or about $400,000. And again, some
Is that in addition to what's been allocated
for
right now?
this year, that is correct.
So
And
what is the total?
so I think about $900,000. But again, not all of that, and I'm not 100% sure, and I probably should have brought my budget in here. But I want to just caution the board that all of that is not used for salary and benefits. There is a specific criteria that we have to use for professional development as well, as part of that carryover.
Would you at some point during this evening be able to provide that information?
Absolutely,
Broken
yes,
down by.
Sure.
Okay. That's all my questions.
I have a question.
Mrs. Romo, hold on.
Okay, thank you. I understand that problem, but what are the consequences of not meeting the requirement of KIA?
Well, it'll go through the review process, and once we're deemed that we are out of compliance, then the district will be given an opportunity to become compliant again, not this year, but in a following year. But there will be no penalty as far as we still will receive the funds for KIA for the current year and for the next year, and given the opportunity to become compliant.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Mr.
Yeah.
Kim?
You told me about the Rockwood have 561 students and 26 teachers in order to keep the KIA program in the school. And we receiving our salary around $1.8 million, and we received the money from the state, $293,737. So when we deduct from that $1.8 million, our encouragement is $1.5 million.
That is correct.
And the same kind of a calculation at the main is they're going to come out, the encroachment is going to be $1.2 million.
That is correct.
Then somebody have to show me what kind of math we can use this one, because $1.8 million is 26 teachers' salaries. So this means they're going to close 2 schools. They'll be saving the money, $1.8 million, and the plus $1.4 million from there. So this is based on when we close these 2 schools, send the children to other school district, and then we can save money about over $3 million. That was most of the number of this one.
Mr. Kim, we're not talking about closing Rockwood and Mains. This is just to staff them at the ratio.
But what I'm talking about, based on encroachment, we have about $2.7 million encroachment for both 2 schools. That is, we're saying also almost no teachers there. So I was calculating based on we cancel the QI school. So let's say we're going to put the 30 students in the classroom. We're going to need 19 teachers in Rockwood, because I divided by 30. Maybe one first grader, second grader, maybe half and half, put the ones combined class. So maximized, we have a compacted 19 teachers needed. So 20 teachers we have, deduct 19, we only saving 7 teachers. 7 teachers, they according here about $50,000 salary, only cost of $350,000. The minus we gonna get the money from the state, $293,000. So probably we saving what? We spending our cost like about $60,000 more. It's nonsense. And the other one, in the main school cases, we're gonna need 15 teachers. And we have 20 teachers there. We're saving 5 teachers. When you're calculating out the $250,000, we're going to need more to cure school, but we're going to receive almost $200,000 from the state, cost us $50,000 only to keep the cures.
No.
So there's nonsense coming out with these number calculations. Some math teachers here, can you teach me how to deduct and add and divide? I think my math is wrong. isn't it?
I'm sorry. I'm not a math teacher, and I don't understand. I don't understand the issue that you say we can put combined classes.
Yes, that's what we're
First-
doing
first
right
and
now.
second.
First and second, some of the schools, they're already doing it.
Yes, but they have 30 to a class.
There's a 30 in the classroom. That's what I'm talking. When we cancel the QI school,
Uh-huh.
we're gonna
Cancel
put
the program, not the school.
Yeah,
Cancel
yeah,
the
the
program.
program. When we cancel, right now, so when we keep the QI programs, we have 26 teachers on the Rockwood.
Correct. Under key.
Okay? And the same amount of the students, if we cancel the program, we put 30 students in the classroom, we're going to need about 19 teachers anyways.
That's right. That's correct.
So we're only saving 7 teachers to close the program. But the cost us to 7 teachers, 50,000 times 7, $350,000 cost us to keep the care programs. But we have grants almost $300,000. So when it deducted, cost us only $50,000 keep the QR program in the Rockwood.
Mr. Kim, it's 72,000. It's
72
72,000.
with benefits.
What's mean 72?
It's 50,000 plus the 22,000 of benefits, health, medical, dental, and any other
STRS.
STRS and all
Okay,
that.
we have a lot of teachers who pay for under $40,000.
No, sir.
No.
We don't.
Yes,
No, sir, we don't.
yes, we have a lot of.
We may have a lot of teachers. Who knows if they're all congregated in Rockwood?
Yes. So when we're talking about the $50,000, to almost be kind of encroaching some benefit over there. So maybe we can say $55,000 including benefit for the average. We still $70,000 for us to keep the how many 561 children in
Miss-
benefit under 20 students in the classroom.
Oh, I thought you said so.
So it doesn't make sense to me that I cannot figure out $1.5 million encroachment from there.
Mr. Kim, the total cost or the total monies that we get for each school is $343. Maybe you're saying something I am not understanding, but I don't see how $343,000 is going to fund 26 teachers.
No.
Plus 20.
Okay. Look, when we have a CARE program, we need 26 teachers. Okay? Then if we cancel the CARE, we're gonna need 19 teachers because we're gonna put the 30 students in the classroom. So 19 teachers we're gonna need it. So only our savings of the teachers, 7 teachers.
And how much is that?
That's almost
7
$500,000.
teachers cost us like about $400,000. Yes.
Cost us or say or
No, cost us.
Cost us.
Cost us, in order to have 7 teachers more, cost us $400,000 with the benefit.
It's closer to 500,000.
Well,
Seven-
I don't know,
seven-
we have lots
70.
of our teachers paying under 40,000 or 40,000 or little over $40,000.
That's why I was asking.
Okay? So,
That's because you don't know what teachers are there.
so I'm counting like a little over $55,000 average cost us to have a teachers, including the benefit, and going to be cost around about $400,000 to keep the 7 teachers in the school. But we're going to receive $300,000 from the state. So saving us to maximum, saving us like 70,000, 100,000 for the keep the 561 students in good condition of the educations. So now I'm going to ask, do we educate our kids, or we going to try to make the money squeeze out the numbers? What are we going to do it? Do we going to educate the kid, or we going to using the kid to try to squeeze out money from the government, every state, and as much as we can, and to pay the lawyer and consulting?
There you go again.
This number
wanna-
doesn't show up, the
Okay.
encroachments.
What you're saying, Mr. Kim, I would have to sit down with you and listen to you carefully because
Yes.
I still don't know where you're coming up with the additional teachers.
No,
I mean,
okay.
I don't understand if you're saying, let's do away with Kia and continue with regular classes just like at every other
Yes,
school
mhm,
site,
mhm.
or continue with Kia and continue with the 20.
Okay,
You're saying to let it go.
No, continuing the 20
Mm-hmm.
in the classroom cost us about close to probably let's say $375,000 cost us more. But we're going to receive $300,000 from the state.
But
For-
we don't
That's-
receive them.
And
Yes,
that's
we
already
receive.
included. That's above and beyond that. If you look on the sheet, it's already included what the entitlement from the state is.
No, you're
Yeah,
not
it
talking
is.
about this. You're talking about different type of the math. Our cost us is 26 teachers, $1.8 million. That's our cost us to keep the teachers. But we only receiving $293,000 for the CURE program. Only we can use the salary and benefit for the teachers. Okay? So you were deducting from there, so like $1.5 million we are encroaching because we keep the KIA system. But in order to keep the KIA program there, if we keep the KIA programs, it's going to be 26 teachers we're going to need it. If we don't keep the cancel the programs, then we're going to need 19 teachers.
So you're saying to cancel the program?
No. Doesn't make to cancel the programs.
Cancel.
Doesn't make sense to cancel the program.
No, because we don't save the money much.
But it's not about savings, Mr. Kim. It's about managing the money to where we can pay everybody school-wide. Because if we continue with the program, we know we need subs to open the school on Monday, right? If we continue with the KIA program at 20, the other schools are going to suffer because they're not going to have the subs
Okay,
or
that's what I'm trying to.
or the permanent teachers.
That's what I'm trying to show how much it costs versus we keep the KIA or we don't keep the KIA for that school.
And okay, with that said, I have made my due diligence. I have talked to Scott Hannon at the state, and I have talked to Bob Storelli at the KIA board. He sits on the KIA board. He would be the one that would make our certification to pass the requirements of it or not. I spoke to him today, and I asked him what would be the consequences of not meeting all the requirements of the KIA. We are not the only district in this predicament. He says the KIA was not to be fully funded program for the school. It was to maintain a program to benefit the student and increase their learning with 20-1. Now, this law came into effect in 2006. That was before the United States became into this hardship of economics. In 2008, it hit. By that time, we had already started with KIA. The contract between CTA and Arnold Schwarzenegger never changed, and it still hasn't changed. They could have never have seen the economy coming down. They could have never have seen that the state was going to start making deferrals. They could have never had seen that a district the size of this would be able to survive a program that is school-wide, that it's funding the whole school. They could have never seen that we wouldn't be able to meet those requirements. Those requirements have not changed. We know that a lot of the schools are increasing class sizes. Why are they increasing class sizes? Because they don't have the financial stability to pay everything that they have to pay. Now, in LA Unified, they lost $60 million of KIA funding because they knew that there was no way that they were going to sustain that program at 20-1. They knew that. They waived those $60 million. $60 million is a lot of money. But when you're talking about a district that has 85 different districts inside, it's impossible to meet with $60 million. We're talking about $340,000 and $270,000 per site here at this district. We went through an ordeal last year about how do we balance a budget. We went through it, we did it, and with everything that was going on, we never thought about the Kia schools, how it was going to impact them. Maybe we could have asked for more money. I don't know. But and I think I already understand what Mr. Kim is saying, but the bottom line is we can't do this, because if we do this, we're going to end up like last year with the same boat. We've already balanced the budget. We said, I mean, it was hard enough to approve 25 teachers coming back. We know we need more teachers, and I know it, and this board knows it, that we need at the least 35 to 40 teachers back. We know that. But how are we going to fund it? Are we going to sacrifice CSEA for it? Are we going to sacrifice our students' transportation for it? And this is why Ms. Randall put these examples. Where are we going to get the funding from to continue with the balanced budget that has been approved by ICOE? Because we had to show that we were going to be able to meet next year and the following year. So if we...
Okay.
Now, these numbers, the $2.8 million, are not included in that budget. They're not.
No, yeah, you're talking about the additional.
Correct.
Yeah.
So what I hear is that we approved a budget, and we should have added, or we should have subtracted from that budget to make these $2.8 million.
Madam President, there is a portion of the two.
Yeah.
This is just the program in total, how much it costs us in total to run the program. What the additional cost to the district is a little over $900,000 is what we additionally need to keep this, to keep the program staffed at Rockwood and at Mains Elementary. Because we have budgeted to the ratio of the 30 to the class size, the 30, not the ratios of the 20-1 and the 21-1 and the 23. If we want to, this is just a program overview. Mm-hmm. If we want to keep the school staffed at those ratios, we're looking at an additional anywhere between $800,000 and $900,000 that is not inclusive in the budget.
That's right.
So okay, so
that's the difference between what Mr. Kim was saying. The 19 and 15, mm-hmm. the 34, and the listed 46. So that's at least 12 teachers. We were looking at 13 in our projection.
Right.
So 13 times 70,000. Use that as a logical number, because remember, the older, not older, more experienced mm-hmm. teachers are the ones that are back. So their salaries are up. And if 70,000 times 12 is 840,000, mm-hmm. times 13 is 910,000. That's what we don't have. And the other thing is the letter that you all received today.
Well, we don't even want to talk
Mallory,
about that.
Well, that's.
No, actually, we should.
No, but
I gave mine. May I have that back so I can read it? If we were to do something like that, Mrs. Mallory sent the board and me a letter today, in effect threatening to declare our budget negative and not accepting this year's budget. That last two paragraphs, Ms. Harvey, I shared with her the letter.
I think I have it here.
Okay.
So let me ask this question: the $900,000 that we would have to put aside, that would be the 900. If we had the money to put the $900,000. Then we can forget about the extra teachers that we were going to bring, correct?
In
to
essence,
to put into the other schools that are needed.
Yes, and
for a program that only gives us this amount of money, the high school's going to suffer, Wheelie's going to suffer, Camarena's going to suffer, all the other elementaries are going to suffer, just to continue this program.
Yes.
Okay. I agree. In a way, I agree with your acknowledgement about the cure programs. That they're gonna the school district has to put some money portion of the keep the cure programs. I agree with it. But luckily, we not other big cities school district. Why? Because the big city school district, or like us, we still receiving same kind of portion for the cure programs. But cost of the teachers, we are a lot less than other school districts. That's why that doesn't cost us much. It's about 2 schools cost us around $150,000. We can keep the school there.
No.
Cure programs.
It costs us $900,000.
No, sir. Here's 12 teachers only differences for 2 schools.
No. It's an additional $900,000, approximately $900,000.
So
keep
that
it
means
open.
like 13 teachers, 12 teachers,
That's
$900,000. So the-
70,000 times 12 is 840. I projected 13, which made it 910. That's
From the
usually-
50,000, now you saying 70.
72,000.
No, 70,000 include the benefits. We have over 13,000 for health. The STRS is about 8%. On 50,000, well.
The total related benefits
the
about
total
16
related benefits
Right.
equal about 16%. So if you look at the 50,000, you have to add another 8,000 plus the 13, makes it actually over 70,000. But it's always, let's say 900,000. The other thing that you
But we're
need
going to
to-
receive about $500,000 from the state.
that's over and above.
No, I don't think so.
Sure.
Okay.
This is from Mrs. Mowry, sent to the board today, and to me. I won't read the whole thing, but I will read the last couple paragraphs, the one where she is, in effect, threatening us. It is my understanding, it talked about the EAAP case, where we have $1 million that we're trying to resolve the waiver. It is my understanding that prior to August 14th, the governing board authorized the rehire of 31 laid-off teachers, even though it was aware of the possible loss of the appeal in AAP case numbers 1117. If this is inaccurate, please advise me of what the governing board acted upon to recall layoff teachers. Also, please submit to me a complete report on the status of the appeal in the AAP case. If the district loses the appeal, it will be virtually impossible for the district to pay the penalty, as Mr. Calderon asserts. And at that point, should I withdraw my approval of the district 2012-2013 budget? It is my understanding that the Education Code 41344, et cetera, allows a repayment over a period of up to 8 years. Is it your understanding that the repayment, if the district loses the appeal, must occur in 1 year? Is it the district's position that even a repayment over 8 years would result in the district suffering severe economic consequences? I replied to the letter. I said, number one, we only returned back the 27 that had been approved, 25 in the budget, 2 to special ed that she had previously approved, and the 3 that we had a retirement and 2 resignations after this point. So what we did was fill 3 positions that we had already budgeted. I also indicated that if we were to lose the appeal, that we would be paying it the $1 million in a small interest rate over the 8 years. If the initiative passes this year, we will have recouped. Hopefully, they will give us credit for the additional 5 days for this year. So we may not have to pay anything. But the fact that she's even considering it is something we need to worry about. Thank you. The other thing that I shared what some of the staff did and get to talk to all of them. But one of the things that bothers me, to bring back 13 teachers to resolve this issue, what about all the rest of the students that are having the 30 and 32 and 34? And if you're a parent of that student, and we can bring back 13 teachers to spread out through the district, that would help more than one group. But to have one group resolve to 20-1 at grade one, K3, and then a little bit more in 4-6, and the other ones are at 34-1. I'm sorry, but if I were a parent, I'd be a little annoyed by that. Any other question for Ms. Randall? If not, I'd like Ms. Ambrose to present her issues.
Thank you, board members.
Thank you, Mike.
No. Is there one here for me?
Mr. Fogelli, even you said $70,000 for the salary benefit together costs us $440,000 more for to keep the 1,000 students in the good condition of education.
I said 900,000.
No, sir, because we have to deduct the 500,000 from the state to giving the money to us.
That's already included in our present
No.
budget. Yeah, it is. Go ahead, Ms. Ambrose.
Good evening. It was requested to bring up the achievement scores for the two KIA schools in the recent years since it started the KIA program. I'm under the understanding that the KIA program was implemented at both Rockwood and Mains beginning the 2007-2008 school year. The board members have a copy of these slides. So if we go to Mains, prior to KIA in 05-06 and 06-07, you can see that there had been a growth of about, I guess, 70 points or so. Maybe, I'm not sure about my math here, but from 624 to 706, between the 05-06 school year and 06-07, prior to it being a KIA school. And then from 706 to 699, there was a slight decline between 06-07 and 07-08. But after a full year of KIA, you went from 699 to 698. There was a slight decrease. And then 09-10, obviously there were no scores for that year. That was the year of the earthquake. And then last year, when we got our first set of scores after the earthquake, it went from 698 to 728. So there's a growth of about 30 or so points there. In order for Mains to have met one of its AYP criteria, it's to meet the API, the Academic Performance Index. And the way the state determines the API, it's to take the last API, which was 728, and get the difference between 728 and the state target, which is 800, and then 5% of that target. So anything under 5 points, the state just expects the school to grow at least 5 points. So the target for Mains Elementary this year was to get to at least 733. Up until yesterday, we had not received the scores, but we did receive the scores last night, I'd say after 5 o'clock. So I started working on the numbers. If I were to give you an initial projection, right now, Mains would have grown 1 point from last year to this year without counting the exclusions. The exclusions are students who have been in the country 12 years or less for the first time.
12 months.
Excuse me?
12 months.
12 months or less, I'm sorry. 12 months or less. That's one of the exclusions. And one of the other exclusions would be students who entered our district after Seabed's Day, which is in early October. So I have not applied the exclusions. So without exclusions, just the raw number, it would be a 1 point growth. Once you apply the exclusions, the number tends to grow. So just on an average, when I applied it to one of the other schools, it grew about 6 points. So if I were to give a 6 to 10 point cushion, I would say that Maine's grew anywhere between 1 point to 10 points or so between last year and this year. So did it meet its target initially? At one point, it did not. If it did gain more than 5, it did. Okay, so I will email you the numbers with the exclusions tomorrow. Now, the next one is Rockwood Elementary. And if we look prior to, the 2 years prior to the initial year of Kia, you had a growth from 634 to 658, so there was a little over 20-point growth there. And then you had a growth of 658 to 681. And then between the first year of implementation, after a full first year of implementation, there was a decline of a little under 30 points after being in Kia for 1 year. Then the second year, obviously there were no scores in 09-10, but between the 08-09 and the first year, full year after the earthquake, there was a significant growth of over 60 points between 08-09 and 10-11. And that was the greatest growth in the district that year. Okay. Now, in order for Rockwood Elementary to meet its target this year, it needed again to grow at least 5 points. And without the exclusions, just the raw numbers, right now I'm projecting that it would be a 9-point growth. Okay. With exclusions, I'm expecting the number to grow a little bit more. But again, did they meet the targets? I'm not aware yet, and these are just projections. The official numbers do not come out from the state until they're not going to be posted on the state website until I believe October the 3rd. And we will not receive our embargoed official scores until the last week of September. So has there been some growth in both of these schools? Yes, there has been. From the first year to the second year, there was decline in both schools. We did have a 1 year off in both schools, and then there was that significant growth at both schools. Those are the numbers right now for the Kia in terms of academics. Now, if we look at the enrollment for this year, both of our schools, we saw the need to close enrollment at both schools at this point. They are over capacity. And in order to balance out the classrooms, we may need to send some of the intra-district transfers back to their original school of residence so that we can keep the numbers, whether it be at a Kia number, we're going to have to move a lot of students. And if it's a non-Kia number, we would still have to move some students out. Right now, the numbers that you have from Ms. Randall earlier showed a lower enrollment at Rockwood. Right now, it's as of this evening, they have 594 students enrolled. And at Maine's, they have 460 students enrolled. So our enrollment there is at capacity. And for the record, a non-Kia school that we have also, or we are closing enrollment on is Cesar Chavez. We are no longer doing the intra-district request right now because we are over capacity at all the grade levels. And it's very unfortunate because we do have parents who want their children moved to Cesar Chavez, to Rockwood, and to Maine's, and we simply cannot honor that at this time.
Yeah.
Okay. Any questions?
I have questions.
Yes, ma'am.
You mentioned the enrollment. Kia is the school, right? It's not the pupils that are enrolled in that school.
Yeah, it's the program at that school.
Okay. Now, I know that we exit the sixth graders onto another school, but if there's a new student coming in this year, and that brings us over 20, and it makes us open another class, how does that work? Because we don't maintain the same amount of students or the same students that are receiving that program.
Mhm.
Every year, there's new students that leave and new students that come back in. So whatever was taught last year, if a new student comes in, they don't have that
Yes.
that knowledge from the year before. Now, how does that affect the funding?
It doesn't affect the funding. I mean, the student is going to go to a KIA school and benefit from the enhanced,
20 to 1.
you know, the one for the class size. It's going to benefit the class size. They're going to also benefit from the teaching strategies that the teachers are utilizing that are being used at all the schools as well. But also, I think the main focus is the reduced class size in all of the classrooms. What we have tried to do is to honor the students who have continuously been enrolled at Rockwood. If it's a new kinder student, if they have siblings in the school, then we try to honor that. But sometimes you have students who are completely new to the program, and if they are not from the residential area for Rockwood, then we sometimes see the need to have them move to another school because of our capacity. And like I said, right now we are over-enrolled at both Rockwood and Mains.
So, I mean, my question is, how can we maintain the funding to support the amount of teachers there is? Because if we keep allowing kids to come into the school,
And that's why I've closed enrollment.
that's, okay. So
At
so
this
you have
point,
a
yeah, at this
number
point,
more or less.
we've closed enrollment, and tomorrow, I mean, between tonight and tomorrow, we're continuing to try to figure out ways to balance the class loads, because our intent as a district is to not exceed the 30, if it's non-KIA, not exist the contractual numbers that you would have at all the regular non-KIA schools. And we're doing this, trying to do the same thing for other schools, because we do have grades that are over-enrolled at different schools, not just Cesar Chavez. I mean, we have over-enrolled classes at Dual, at Blanche, at Jefferson, and so it's become a balancing act at this point.
I did want to point out that it's also not just the 20 to 1 and teaching strategies, but also the communication that goes on between the different grade levels, kindergarten talking to first talking to second, right?
Yeah.
Okay, I just wanted to make that point.
I understand that, Trustee Aguilar, but that also, I mean, I'm not in any way discrediting the excellent work going on at Mains and Rockwood, especially walking into their staff developments this morning. I mean, they were excited. They were on it. It was great. But that communication, that vertical articulation between grade levels is also going on at the other schools, especially at their every Tuesday professional development or PD days that they have every Tuesday. They do that year long. It's not exclusive to Rockwood, and that articulation is not exclusive to Rockwood and Mains.
And I agree with you, but I think what also has to be established is the type of articulation that's going on. What kind of communication is going on? You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Exactly what questions are being asked, or what's being, communicated from what. Yes, there's that communication. It goes. I understand it goes across the board, but obviously something's happening at these two schools, and maybe we can take from there and apply it.
I don't want to discredit you, Ms. Aguilar, in any way, shape, or form, or discredit any of the other schools. I do have to tell you that there is one other elementary school in this district that, if my projections are correct, made extremely significant growth for itself and the district, and it was probably the most impacted school since the earthquake. Jefferson Elementary, potentially, our projection is that it grew in double digits and head and shoulders above the other schools. I've got to tell you. And again, I will forward you all the numbers. And I just want to caution everyone, like I cautioned the principals that I've talked to, that these are projections. They could be higher, they could be slightly lower. But these are projections, and the official numbers do not come out until October.
Just one question.
Yes,
I just have a question for you. So, and what is the student to teacher ratio at Jefferson School? How many students per teacher?
Right now we have the ratio of
with these scores.
With these
from
scores,
last year.
they had their enrollment pretty maxed out in a lot of the grade levels. Some of the grade levels were a little lower than others, but most of them were. If I were to average it out, they averaged 30-1 in most of their classrooms. You know, there were some classrooms that their sixth grade was maxed out completely. Their sixth grade made tremendous growth. Cesar Chavez's fourth grade, was excellent scores across their fourth grade team. Again, head and shoulders above the crowd. It's every school had a lot to be applauded. There are schools that's we all need improvement, but within schools that may not have made the growth that they needed to, they had grade levels or grade spans that did make growth. So there's pluses at all schools, and then there's areas for improvement in all schools as well, okay, including Jefferson.
I don't know if you would have the answer right
Okay.
now. On the year 9-10 that we didn't get a score.
Yes.
How did that affect us?
What it did is it froze, because we didn't get scores, it froze everybody at the PI year they were at.
Okay.
So if it was a school that was at a PI 2, they continued to be at a PI 2.
Okay.
So if it was a PI 2 school that hopefully met its targets this year, then they would need a second year of meeting its targets to be out. And there were schools that year were waiting on, if they had met the score that year, they would have been out. So we may have a school or two in that arena. But again, our English learners is a target that we need to address across the district, not just at the elementary level, and so that we can meet our targets, our proficiency growth targets in that area, and that's really what's kind of keeping our district schools from getting out of the PI.
Okay. Thank you.
If I may interject something, it's always been my belief, not the number of students so much as it is the quality of the teaching. And obviously it's the quality of the teaching that's getting our scores up.
Madam President,
Mrs. Ramos?
thank you. I would like the comments for your opinion for the two principals for Rockwell and Mainz School, is possible?
You would like for them to talk about how they've been...
For the comments for
Sure.
the principals.
Ms.
Please.
Ms. Lopez can...
Yeah.
Sorry we didn't prepare you for anything,
Thank
but that's when everything comes out better.
Thank you.
I'm here by myself.
What is it that you guys are doing?
I don't know what to share, but I guess what we can share is that you're all right on the money. I mean, we are working very, very hard. There is a lot of planning. You're right, Mrs. Aguilar. We are constantly talking collaboratively, especially at today's staff development. We're eager, Beaver, to hear scores. This is our first time hearing our API. One is better than negative, right? And so we're hoping that with her numbers, they go to 10. And it's good to feel the growth because we do work very, very hard.
What is it that you can say you're doing different than other sites?
Actually, what I'd like to share is that we are, in fact, working as a unified elementary. That, I think, resonated today. We've been working that way, though, since I've been here. Our principals meet regularly. Our staff meets unified, I want to say at least every staff development, right? We do, if not everything together, everything together. Unless you guys might disagree with me. I mean, today was a great example. Mr. Fergali greeted us at 1 o'clock. All 7 elementary schools were there. When we went to UCLA together this a week prior, all 7 schools were there, plus, of course, our junior highs and, of course, Mr. Pesquera, our high school. We did a lot of collaboration there as well on our own, of course, initiated by our Papa Bear, Mr. Pesquera, and supported by our Mama Bear over there, Mrs. Ramirez. So they do take a great lead, and of course we get all these blessings from Mrs. Breeze, our assistant superintendent, Mr. Fergali, to do all this work. So it is completely unified. It feels good to be part of this family.
Dr. Lanusa? Thank you.
Well, thank you
Mrs.
very much for having me here, but I take absolutely no credit. It's our teachers who did it all. Our teachers are to be highly commended. They stay late. They show up early. They stay very late. They work very hard. My job is just to support the program and to support them in whatever they can do. All I can say at this moment is that we use a lot of the incentives, a lot of innovation, a lot of inventiveness, a lot of ideas, but we do it collaborative with a lot of communication. We try to be as creative as possible. We cooperate, and we're always working together as a team. One of the things that definitely I could say is that we are doing a lot of after-school tutoring programs. Whether or not they get paid or not, they are after-school doing tutoring programs. We are also trying to find ways to make reading much more important. And as much as we celebrate the scores, we have, it's wonderful to be patted on the back, but it's also important to look at the fact that we need to raise the standards while closing the achievement gap. So yes, there's a lot to celebrate. However, we have not reached the 50th percentile. We are still looking at in terms of deciles and quartiles, in terms of what the data is telling us. So we know we have a long way to go. We know we have much more to do. This morning was very, very encouraging in terms of what our plans are for this year. This is just the beginning. We are setting our goals much higher for this coming year. Last year was my first year as an elementary principal, but I just want everybody to know that at Rockwood we have a team, and the team is really shooting for the stars. And like Lisette said, I just want to take this moment to say thank you to Lisette. She's been a wonderful leader to our elementary principals. Every time we get together, she takes the leadership in asking us to do this or do that or giving us the roles. Also, Lisette, this morning with the Common Core state standards, I think she made a much more wonderful presentation this morning than the entire 3-4 days we spent at UCLA. UCLA was wonderful. It was great team building. It was wonderful information. I came back totally inspired to the point that I actually wrote 2 white papers, which I guess Dr. Douglas Reeves asked that I publish because he could see the potential in terms of publishing work. But I think we have great leaders here, and I think if we're given the opportunity to be much more creative, I know that as a program improvement school, we are asked, what is it that we're going to be doing different? It's almost like a mandate. It's been stated, why do we expect different results by doing the same thing? So we asked the teachers 4 questions this morning, 4 questions that our superintendent had asked us to ask our teachers. Because the superintendent also is looking at us and giving us the freedom to really excel and look at what we need. What are we doing? What worked last year? What did not work? What do you want to see? And the last question is, when it comes to professional development, what do you want? So those were the 4 questions that our superintendent had asked and we had asked ourselves. And that's what we did the last hour of our professional development day. Like I said, this is just the beginning. I'm glad to see that we do have a very strong team, but I can see the team throughout all of Calexico. And I think sometimes the scarcity of the budget, the needs that are out there, somehow it has a tendency to bring the best out of all of us. And so I'm glad to see the board working together, the leadership here and everybody, and it's just a wonderful year, and this is just the beginning. Next year we're even going to do better. So thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Lanusa, Dr. Lanusa. Mr. Fergali, maybe you want at another time share what their answers were, because we would like to know that in order to help them get to those goals.
Actually, I think both Mrs. Lopez and Dr. Lanusa said it all. It really is the staff doing the work. The last question that he referred to is, this board has asked on several occasions, what do the teachers want? What kind of staff development do they want? So that's really what that last question was. Tell us what you really want for staff development, so that when we go out and look for the experts, or we do it internally, that we're doing what they want us to do, what they feel they need to improve. So we're looking for a very good year with the staff that is back, is enthusiastic and ready to go. And we'd love to have more back, but the ones that are here are ready, willing, and able.
Okay, thank you. Moving on to item E, comments from the public. He left? Okay. Speaker number 1, Diana Harvey.
Oh, I put it under pre-warrants.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry. I have it as number 1. James Groff.
Good evening, trustees and superintendent. My name is Jim Groth. I'm a teacher in Chula Vista Elementary District, and I sit on the CTA Board of Directors.
Thank you.
Tonight is not about politics. This is about students. CTA sued Arnold Schwarzenegger, $3 billion victory, and the decision was, do you take $3 billion and do you put it all around the entire state of California for 6 million students? It would have come to just a handful of dollars for every student in Calexico. Instead, Barbara Kerr, our president at that time, said, let's roll the dice. Let's go out there. Let's talk about school reform. Let's talk about a model that other schools can follow. Ms. Duarte was absolutely correct in the fact none of us ever saw what Wall Street was going to do to our students and to our schools. And so when the program came together, there was no belief that it was going to infringe upon school district budgets. Obviously, it hit all of us. However, in this program, and it was a lottery to get into the program because so many schools and districts wanted to get in. What we have seen is an 85% success rate. 15% is highly at the high school and middle school, areas where we are struggling statewide in any sort of program. At elementary schools, it's been highly successful. State Superintendent Torlakson, this is his baby. He is the one that put the legislation together and follows this program very, very closely and is well aware of the very difficult decisions all 5 of you are going to have to make over this program. One thing we talked about tonight, there would be no penalty. Yes, there would be a penalty. The penalty is to the students. The penalty is there because we have the opportunity in the QEIA schools to be the model so that when the California economy comes back, we can say, you know what, here is a model of smaller class size, of continual ongoing funding, of professional development decided by the teachers, of parents, teachers, and administrators making decisions together. Also not mentioned tonight is you have to have a highly qualified principal. That is also in there and required professional development for principals. Very unique across the state. I've been to a lot of your schools down here. You have 400 teachers working very, very hard. But you have the opportunity to continue a program. We have a full-time staff person in CTA that just works with QEIA to help school districts through this maze. I offer, her name is Ms. Robb, I offer her time to come down here to work with you, and also, in all due respect, to take a different look at that budget. Because the way that budget was put together, and Mr. Kim did actually hit it on the head, that is budgeting full cost. But you know what? You take QEI away, and it's roughly, you're talking 26 teachers versus 19 teachers. And so the entire cost there, because you're not talking about closing the schools. You're talking about QEIA is adding $3 million to this budget Yes, I know how tight money is. I know how you're struggling, but I would implore you to continue to look at alternatives, and I will work with any one of you. I've talked to your principals. I've been out at their sites. You have two great principals that are working very hard. I would invite you to Chula Vista, my own district, where we have 4 QIA schools that are nearing 850 on their scores. Absolutely same sort of population. How people working together, they have that commitment together. And yes, it's going to cost a little bit of money to get some money. But in Chula Vista, they're creating models that the other schools are looking at. And so again, everything that has been said tonight, I agree with all of you. This is very, very difficult. But please, and right up the street, we helped Heber in an issue, a QIA issue. We gave them assistance and helped them at the state board level. In Grossmont District in San Diego County, I work with about 10 school districts that have QIA money. We are there to help because this is about students. This is about when this economy bottoms out and we do come back, and we will. It may not be in a lifetime of some of us here, but it's going to be a while. But we will be there. We will be able to look at QIA in Calexico or Sacramento or Los Angeles or whatever and say, that's the model legislature that we need to look at. Thank you.
Thank you. Chad Cooper?
Good evening. I'd like to point out that the PowerPoint that was presented tonight, I didn't get a copy ahead of time. I would have liked the opportunity to look at the numbers. One funding source that wasn't on there is when you do fund at 20-1, you get more of the CSR money. The other schools get CSR money at a penalty. So when you run it the actual 20-1, you're recouping that money on every single class. While let's say at Cesar Chavez, they're only getting the 20-1 money on the first 20 kids in every class, and the next 10 kids they don't get the money on. So that's another funding source. So please take a look at that. And as Mr. Kim so articulately said was, this is being co-funded. You're going to have to purchase, that's the wrong word, hire, invest in teachers at that school, regardless of whether there's QIA. We're going to have to, by we, I mean the district, you, the school board, are going to have to fill out a form that says how you spent the QIA money. And CTA wouldn't give me a sure answer, but to so overtly pervert the program might be considered malfeasance and fraud, because you are going to have to fill out a form that says how you spent the money. And so if you don't spend the money on QIA, and we've got videotapes showing you this, I'm not sure if Calexico is going to be able to keep the $400,000 in carryover, plus the money in today's budget, the money next year, and the money the year after next. So we're talking about a lot of money. I spent my own time driving up to Gardenia in the heart of Los Angeles to attend a state assembly hearing, so I could criticize the Imperial County Office of Education. You trust them as your advisors, and they're giving you bad advice, folks, and I feel sorry for you. You're not educational professionals. You're leaders in the community. And when your advisors are giving you bad advice and you have to follow under their bad rules, I don't know. It's like playing, I don't know, kickball with a 5-year-old that keeps changing the rules as you go. Mr. Kim's taught me that you got to spend money to make money. We're driving students away from this district. Let me give you an example. Talked to a friend whose friend works at Central High School. A couple of you here have worked at Central High School. They say they have 130 students whose school of residence is Calexico. That cost the district $6,000 each in ADA. That's $780,000. How many teachers do you need to teach 130 students? 4. How much do 4 teachers cost? $275,000. I'm going to repeat that number. For 130 students going to Central, it's costing us $780,000. How much are we saving by not having teachers? $275,000. It's one teacher with 30 generates $180,000 in revenue, right? If those 30 students leave, you can't cut that much money. It's impossible. Because even using your numbers, which I might disagree with, but 72 grand, it's costing the district 108 grand even when you lay off the teacher. And by running substandard schools here, we're chasing ADA to Imagine, Ballantine, and even public schools. We got to spend a little bit of money to make money. I understand that you believed the advice Michelle McClowery told you, that Ann Mallory, her crew. I don't believe that you've done this on purpose, but I believe you've been given very, very bad advice. And the advice to cut this program is going to be even worse advice. We're talking about less than 0.5% of the budget to keep 2 model schools going. Some of these students will leave this district. We will lose more money than we save. We got to do things to make schools happy and attract students. That's the only way we can win in this game, is to increase ADA. To decrease ADA is killing us. It really, really is.
30 seconds, Mr. Cooper.
Okay, you gave my Randall as much time as she wanted.
She had a presentation too.
And I have a presentation too.
Go ahead, Mr. Cooper.
No, that's okay. If anybody wants the rest of my story, they can find me. I've been trying to set up a meeting with some of you. Hasn't happened. You got serious problems in your schools. 45 students enrolled in kindergarten, 8 vacancies, 9 through 12. The Williams Act is also the law. We're not just about money here. We're about providing a quality education, and I believe that's why you're all here, every single one of us. Thank you for indulging me.
Thank you, Mr. Cooper. Raul Ureña, next speaker.
Thank you. My name is Raul Ureña, and I'm here to comment about the form in which we comment on line items. Spontaneous order is not being respected. Here, when somebody has to speak, they have to raise a form, do a form, and turn it in before the meeting. But what if somebody says something in the board, and somebody wants to say something, and it's very important, and they're not giving the chance? They should be able to raise their hand and contribute to the discussion. They should also be able to turn in late forms just in case, for the same reason. Also, Mr. Fergali mentioned the class sizes were going to be 32 to a class, right? I just went to the counselor the other day. She told me 48 or 51 kids per class. I didn't get the class I wanted. I didn't get chemistry. They're going to put me in advanced biology again. But we really need to get the class sizes down for all the schools, including QAE. Thank you. And the class size is not 32, it's 48. Thank you.
Thank you. No other public comments. Item F, Superintendent recommendations, approval of each of the following items. Approve accounts payable pre-list. Oh, yeah. I'm sorry, Ms. Harvey. Diana Harvey. Oh, it's okay.
My name's Diana Harvey. I'm a member of this wonderful teaching staff that works here. And I would like to talk to you about the approval of the budget for 2012-13. I requested from Public Records, from Mrs. Mallory, the copy of her letter to you, to the board, saying that she's approved the budget because it satisfies the state standards and criteria for fiscal stability. However, she does say, and this is my point, that it's imperative that the board very carefully monitor all expenditures and not authorize ongoing financial commitments without great scrutiny. I had to sit, as Raul Ureña pointed out, and listen to the presentation for the refinance of one of our loans. It's called the COPS loan. We owe $5 million, and the district is going to, you approved 4-1 to refinance the loan and add $4 million in interest. And the loan, right now, the balance is $5 million. You're going to add $4 million interest. But, and that's so that the payment will be lower. That's wonderful. Okay, I can see that. But when I looked at the contract and it said we're going to pay the gentleman that was here that made the presentation $65,000 fee, and then we're going to pay all of his per diem expenses, whatever they are. We're going to pay lawyer fees, whatever they are, and then we're going to pay an agent to cover whatever cost he has to do the loan. Now, I just watched how we were watching very carefully, and I listened about the QEIA money. But you approved 4-1 to spend all that money, and I don't know how much ahead of time you had that contract to look at. And that contract, I think, is going to turn out to be a very expensive proposition, and not just the $65,000 fee to start the process. Now, I assume it's been signed. There goes the money. And it's a plus, a lot of expenses, and I don't know how we're going to control it. And I would rather see $4 million spent on students than on interest to lower a loan. And that's my comment. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Harvey. Okay, now moving to item F, approve accounts payable pre-list. Do I have a motion?
Motion to approve.
Motion to approve by Mr. Valenzuela. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
I have a second by Ms. Aguilar.
I have
Discussion?
Discussions. It's a 1, 2, 3 pages, and very short, but very hesitated. We paying Angelica Tejechea $10,000 through the revolving fund, and then page 3, Tejechea Angelica changed the name, the same person, paid $20,000. So which is $30,000 contract we had, we paid to that person. We contract him with that person as a lobbyist, and she never been lobbyist at that point. She's been not registered as a lobbyist. When I asked Mr. Fagali about the lobbyist, but she wasn't. She wasn't the time we contract. She wasn't the lobbyist. She wasn't registered state neither. Actually, she did this March, I believe. March or April, she put the application. I don't know if she application gone through or not. We gave her contract last year without she's the lobbyist, we gave the lobbyist contracts. And now we paying. I don't know why they have to change the name. One is Angelica Tejechea or Tejechea Angelica.
I'll answer that question for you, Mr. Kim.
$10,000 and $30,000 we paying.
It's the same. It's a part of the same contract. What the issue is that the district had issued Angelica a revolving cash check for $10,000 back in the beginning of the year, and in order to reimburse our revolving cash account, we need to make a check payable to the revolving cash account. So the check that's made out to CUSD is to reimburse the $10,000 that we paid her already, and the $20,000 made payable to Angelica Tejechea is for the balance of her $30,000 contract. So the only payments that she will receive is to her contract, which is the $30,000.
But that contract is breached because she lied on the contract, and we gave her a contract as a lobbyist, as a registered lobbyist. So she's not. She wasn't the lobbyist.
She was never hired as a lobbyist, Mr.
Yes, contract was as a lobbyist.
And she did provide with a copy of her lobbying license or certificate, whatever.
No.
Whatever. We do have one, Mr. Kim.
No. We have for the. After I raised the question, she couldn't provide it. So she applied the application this year after she got our contract.
She wasn't hired as She was not hired as a lobbyist.
Okay, as the contract says, as a lobbyist.
Excuse me. The
Okay.
contract does not say as a lobbyist. She was
Yes.
not hired as a lobbyist.
Okay,
She
Mr.
served in the function
Okay,
of
so I understand you guys are going to try to give the
Mr. Kim, do you have
pay
a
to.
question on the payment?
Yes, question on the payments because the contract was breached by her lying,
Mr. Kim, did she get
misinformed
us,
it.
did, with
And
the
then-
help, with her help, didn't we get all the waivers approved? We're just waiting on the last EEAP to be done in December.
Well,
Did
what
she
I
do her
understanding,
job?
all the Mr. Perez was the came to the school, the ICOE to pushing to the ICOE and Mallory to approve all the waiver too.
No, sir, Miss Mallory was not helping us with the waivers. Ms. Angelica Teaeche is the one that walked us through and got us the appointments with the people that we needed to see, and she made the waivers happen, Mr. Kim. We would have been in a deeper situation right now. Is there any other item? You've made your point on her payment.
Well, again, I don't agree with you. That is your opinions. Maybe four board members' opinions. I understanding you guys want to pay your friends
And
to
I
pay
understand,
the bill.
Mr. Kim, and I think this board knows your point. Can you move on to another one?
The other one is the 010 fund. Now we have $8 million cash balance. Day by today. Or by yesterday, whatever.
What, 10,000?
Cash available after expenses. We're gonna have a cash $8 million cash. But I believe we're gonna write the check salary this year, this month.
Yes, that does not include our salary
not
payment.
include the
That is
salaries.
correct, yes.
Okay, so we're gonna have enough cash.
Yes.
So I believe I urge the board we have to careful our dollar spending. And the $30,000 we paying for the lobbyist as a lobbyist, was not correct ones.
Okay, I call for the question. I have first a motion made by Mr. Valenzuela, a second by Ms. Aguilar. All in favor of the motion, say aye.
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 No.
Aye. Motion passes 4-1. Approve the variable term waiver applications for 2012-13 school year on behalf of Armando Alvarez Rico.
So moved.
Second.
I have a
I
question.
have a motion by Ms. Aguilar, second by Mr. Valenzuela. Discussion?
Okay, first of all, did we announce this position to recruit the person, the position person?
Did we advertise it?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
So we couldn't get.
That's right. They're very difficult to find.
What is the subject was?
Speech pathologist.
Speech pathologist, correct.
So-
Okay, so how come I don't have a copy of the advertisements about the open
We've
positions?
never.
Once
It's
you
on the
have-
website. We've never provided individual ones. It's on our website, and it's also.
Can we have any advertisement of the job opening? Can we have the email to us?
They can go to Ed
I think
Join.
that we giving.
I think
we
you can
giving
go
them.
to Ed Join and see that.
Just go to Ed Join.
So you want me to check every day? Just check the ad join for the checking the open position is not there.
Well, Mr. Kim, if you're interested in applying for that, yeah.
No, I'm not. I'm not filing applying.
Maybe it's. I mean, Human Resources can send us an email stating
Sure.
this position has gone on EdJoin.
That's fine. And we've never provided it in the past. I don't.
We
all of a sudden-
we getting once in a while, but not all of
Well,
them.
we get the ones that are
Yeah.
here already, the openings that are here.
And we provide those in our and our website and so forth.
So I believe as a board member knows what job opening is there. I think that's proper to know.
I don't have a
board
problem
members.
providing you one.
Thank you.
Okay, so I have a motion. Any more discussion, board members?
No.
I have a motion made by Ms. Aguilar, seconded by Mr. Valenzuela. All in favor of the motion, say aye.
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 Hi.
Aye. Motion passes 5-0. Approve the variable term waiver application for 2012-13 school year on behalf of Michael Anthony Davis.
Motion to approve.
I'll second.
Have a motion by Mr. Valenzuela, seconded by Ms. Aguilar. Discussion?
Same thing. Did we open the position, advertise it as joint? I have a conflict. Okay, thank you. So we don't get any applicants for the positions.
The only one that would qualify was Mr. Davis.
Then why need to have a waiver?
Because he doesn't have a full credential. He doesn't have a regular teaching credential. It's an ROP credential. And we need to get a waiver basically on an annual basis for that kind of a situation.
Okay, thank you.
Any other board member?
No.
Okay. I have a motion and a second. All in favor of the motion, say aye.
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 Hi.
Aye. Motion passes 5-0. We will now go to closed session. Closed session will be discussion and public employee appointments, all positions, including the certificate and classified employment report. 2, public employee discipline dismissal release, governmental code 54957. And 3, public employee performance evaluation, governmental code 54957. Title, superintendent. It is now 7:35. We will now go to session. We are reconvening from closed session. It is 9:20, and there was no motions made in closed session, right? So there's nothing to report, no reportable action coming out from closed session. Oh, that's right. There was one direction given to superintendent to propose, provide a proposal to the board for his continuance after September, due to the retirement law or legislation. In writing, provided in writing. Next item. Approve the certificate employment report for August 16, 2012.
Motion to approve.
I'm gonna make the what?
Second.
I'm gonna make the motion to.
I said motion to approve.
Or to as it is.
As is.
I seconded
No.
already.
No.
Is it lots
There
of
has to
change?
be a change.
No, this is for
Certification.
There has to be a change.
change for Dr. Fragale.
Oh, I'm sorry.
What is that change?
I withdraw it.
Okay, I'll make the motion to complicate motion. I make the motion.
Let me withdraw my
Okay.
Withdraw my second also.
Okay, I make the motion to with the amendment Patricia Patricia assigned to Willie Moreno, and Mr. Padilla's class moved to another school, not the Jefferson, and ROP law enforcement class split with the high school, and EL coordinator this time we're gonna excuse to process, to open job opening process to approve the Yanes, Sylvia Yanes as AL coordinator.
So you're denying, your motion is to deny Ms. Yanez?
No, I mean the excusing the process at this time only.
Oh, okay.
To
So
approve
it's
that,
to
yes,
approve
yes,
Ms.
to approve
Yanez.
it.
I'll second.
Okay, I have a motion made by Mr. Kim, seconded by Ms. Aguilar. All in favor of the motion? Any more discussion? All in
Yeah.
favor of the motion? Say aye.
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 Aye. Motion passes 5-0.
Who made the second to that motion, please?
I did.
Aguilar.
Okay.
Item number 2, approve the, I2, sorry. Approve the Personnel Commission Classified Employment Report for August 16, 2012.
So moved.
Second.
So moved by Mrs. Romo,
Valenzuela.
seconded by Mr. Valenzuela. Discussion?
No.
Hearing none. All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes 5-0. It is 9:24.
Next meeting?
The next meeting will be September 13th, 6 o'clock here at the district office.
not a
Thank
Friday.
you.
September
Is that a Friday?
13th?
13. Yeah.
It's a Friday?
Isn't that-
We don't have any
Oh.
regular meeting on that the third week?
Yeah.
Regular meeting, September
Regular.
13.
Not August?
September. No more.
We only have one normally only have one in August.
We may have another special meeting. I don't know. But anyways, I call this meeting adjourned. Thank you for coming.
Okay. Thank you. Good night.